theyeshiva.net.
Daf Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, 3 lines from the top. We learned earlier in the beginning of the Perek on Daf Kuf Amud Aleph. Thank you so much. We learned about an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi. If somebody starts a meal on Friday and continues to the meal, and then Shabbos arrives, does the person have to interrupt the meal because Shabbos arrived? Or the person could continue? Rabbi Yehuda holds that you have to interrupt the meal, move away the tables. Everybody had a little table. Move away the tables, bench, do benching for the meal, make Kiddush, and start your new Shabbos meal. Or bench or daven Ma'ariv and start your new Shabbos meal. Or make Kiddush, bench, and then do your new Shabbos meal. But the meal of the weekday has to stop because Shabbos has arrived. That was the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi disagreed, and Rabbi Yossi said, no, you don't have to interrupt your meal. You could continue the meal and allow it to go into Shabbos, and automatically it will morph from a weekday meal into a Shabbos meal. And then when you finish the meal, whenever you finish it, 8 at night, 9 at night, 11 at night, you're going to bench, and you just benched on your Shabbos dika meal, also on your weekday meal, but also on your Shabbos meal. And then you'll make Kiddush. You have to make Kiddush. So you'll also make Kiddush. And you'll make Kiddush after your meal, in the place of your meal, because you're not having another meal after Kiddush. I mean, you could have another meal after Kiddush, but you don't need to. According to the Rabbi, you don't have to make Kiddush during the meal. You could make Kiddush during the meal, but you don't have to. You don't have to interrupt your meal at all. No, you don't have to make any changes. You just continue your Suda, and you'll bench, and then you'll make Kiddush after the meal. And then Shmuel told us that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, not like Rabbi Yossi, but the halacha is that Peiris Mapa Umekadosh, which means you don't have to interrupt the meal. You could just take a napkin or a cloth and cover the bread and make Kiddush in the middle of the meal when Shabbos comes in, and then continue your meal. And of course, you're going to bench after that meal. That's what Shmuel said is the halacha known as Peiris Mapa Umekadosh. The Gemara now resumes that conversation and tells us a story. And the story is about a few people who were sitting and having a meal Friday afternoon, Erev Shabbos. Reb Chananya bar Shalemya. Reb Chananya, the son of a man named Shalemya. V'talmidei de Rav, together with students of Rav, havayasvi b'sudasa. They were sitting at a meal. They were having their meal. And when was this? This was Friday. How do I know? We'll see from the story. V'kaya alayu Reb Hamnuna Sava. Reb Hamnuna Sava, Reb Hamnuna the elder one, Sava means the Zaken, the elder one, was standing over them and serving them. Now the meal continued and continued and continued. Amrulei, they tell Reb Hamnuna, who is the person taking care of them and serving them, Zil chazei imikdash yaima. Go outside and look if the day became holy, meaning if Shabbos has arrived. Zilgo chazisi mikdash yaima. Has the day become holy? Is it already Shabbos? Why? Because if yes, nafsik, we're going to interrupt the meal. V'nikvei l'shapsa. And we'll resume a new meal. We'll establish ourselves in a new way for Shabbos. In other words, we're going to make a hefsek. We'll stop. That's what nafsik means. We'll move away the tables. We'll bench. And then we'll reconvene. Nikbei will reconvene. We'll reestablish ourselves l'shabsa for Shabbos. So Reb Chananya and the students of Rav want to follow the view of Rabbi Yehuda, who says that when Shabbos comes, you have to interrupt the meal, bench, and start a new meal for Shabbos. Amar Lahu, Reb Hamnuna Sava, who is serving them, says, Lo tzrichisu. There's no need for this. There's absolutely no need to stop the meal and move away the table and start a new meal. Why? Because Shabsa kav'a nafsha. Shabbos establishes itself on its own. Shabbos establishes its identity. It confers its identity on its own. In other words, without doing anything. Just because Shabbos came in, Shabbos transforms the meal into a Shabbos-dika meal. You don't have to contribute to that. You don't have to move away the table, say we're done the Friday meal, let's bench, make Kiddush and start a new meal. No need for that. Shabbos kava nafsha, Shabbos on its own establishes itself. Huh?
You still Mekadosh Shabbos.
Not to go out. It's not important to go out.
You don't have to interrupt. Yeah, there's no need for hefsek.
There's an Indian of Mekadosh Shabbos.
We'll see.
He's talking about Suda L'Suda.
Yeah, you don't have to make a hefsek. And Rabbi Amnun explains, you're students of Rav, right? You're students of Rav. The Amar Rav, welcome to Amar Rav. Rav said, Kashem shah Shabbos koivas l'maiser, kach Shabbos koivas l'kiddush. Just as Shabbos gives significance and gives a special permanence, kviyas, to the food to make it obligated with meiser, the same is true. Shabbos gives a meal a certain permanent significance that you have to make kiddush. What is Rav referring to here? Biblically, you don't have to tithe, you don't have to give trumas and maasros from fruits until you finish all the work of processing and bringing it into the house. When it's still not fully processed or not brought into the house, biblically, you're not obligated yet, or some say not even the house, also the courtyard. But till that point, biblically, you're not obligated to give trumas and maasros yet, and therefore you can eat it without anything, without tithing it. Came the Chachamim and said that that's only for a snack. But to make a meal out of it, to make a permanent meal from it, if you want to snack on a kernel of wheat, if you want to snack on a fruit, that's fine. But achilas kva, permanent meal, that you're not allowed to, even though biblically you are allowed to, but the Chachamim said only for a snack, not achilas kva. This is true in the weekdays. When it comes Shabbos, even a snack is forbidden. Why? Because since it says v'karasa la Shabbos oynek, that Shabbos is a day of oynek, a day of delight, so therefore when you eat on Shabbos, you fulfill the mitzvah of oynek Shabbos, of the pleasure of Shabbos. So any snack of Shabbos is considered an achila chashuva. It's considered a significant meal. In other words, when you snack in the middle of the week, it's called a snack. When you snack in the middle of Shabbos, it's not just a snack. Because it's part of Oynek Shabbos, so the Torah gives this snack special significance. It's like a ganze suda, it's like a meal. It's not just you took a bite. The bite has tremendous prominence. The reason they didn't allow you to eat the sudas kva, from trumas and from this food, because of its prominence, because of its significance, because of the mitzvah of Oynek Shabbos, even a little snack on Shabbos, you took a little nut, a little fruit, a little vegetable, a little kernel, it's not considered a little kernel, a little snack. Shabbos confers upon it kviyus, a sense of establishment, a sense of prominence, a sense of chshivus, and therefore, unless you gave meiser before Shabbos, you're not allowed to snack from it, even if it's outside, it never entered into your house. So Rav said, just like Shabbos. So what happens if I'm snacking Friday afternoon and then Shabbos comes in? Can I continue eating it? No, I can't. It's only a snack. But Shabbos came in and the food changed. This is not considered now a snack. This is considered a meal. Why? Because it's Shabbos. And you're fulfilling the mitzvah of Oynek Shabbos, so the Torah confers upon this little act of eating tremendous significance. And therefore, you have to stop, even though you're just snacking. You're just eating a little kernel. You're not making a whole meal. You're not washing. It's not bread. You're just snacking. But you have to stop because Shabbos came and you didn't give meiser. Unless you want to give meiser, then you're good. So Rav said, just like Shabbos gives the achila, chashivus, it gives the food significance and a sense of permanence. And you're mechuyev to give meiser from it. Even though on the weekday this type of eating would not obligate you with meiser. So Rav said, kach Shabbos kaivas lekiddush. Shabbos also considers eating a permanent meal of Shabbos, and you have to make Kiddush. So when you eat on Shabbos, even if you didn't do anything else, on its own, it's considered a Shabbos-dika meal, so therefore, just like with Meiser, even if you were eating, snacking Friday afternoon, when Shabbos came in, you don't say it's a continuation of the old snack. Now it's a Shabbos-dika snack. If it's a Shabbos-dika snack, it's not a snack. It's a meal. It's too significant to be called a snack. So therefore you have to stop and give meiser because you're not allowed to eat sudas kva without meiser. The same is true if you're eating Friday afternoon a regular meal and Shabbos came in without doing anything. What happens? Shabbos confers upon the continuation of the meal. The kvius, the sense that it's a Shabbos-dika meal, not a regular meal. It's a Shabbos-dika suda, even though I didn't do anything. And therefore, I have to make Kiddush, but I don't have to stop the meal for it to be a Shabbos-dika meal. I don't have to stop the meal and say, let's say goodbye to the old meal and start again. No, just by itself, it became a Shabbos-dika meal. And that's why he said you could do Peiris Mapo Makadish. What you could do is you could cover the bread and make Kiddush. So the continuation of the meal is considered a Shabbos-dika meal and not a weekday meal. That's what Reb Hamnuneh, who was serving these students of Reb Chaim by the meal, explained to them. There's no need to bench and to rub the old meal because Shabbos, Shapse Kava Nafsha. Sover Minah. The students of Rav thought, based on this, Ki heiche de kava kiddush, kach kava havdalah. Just like Shabbos turns the meal into a Shabbos-dika meal, and therefore you have to make kiddush. Why do you have to make kiddush? Because it's a Shabbos-dika meal. And before Shabbos-dika meal, you make kiddush. So the same might be also with havdalah. That what? That when Shabbos is leaving, if I'm having Shalosh Shudas, and Shalosh Shudas continues till Motzei Shabbos, so the fact that Shabbos left turns the meal into Amalava Malka. Just like when Shabbos comes in, it turned the meal into a Shabbos-dika meal, which means two things. First of all, I don't have to bench and stop the old meal. I'm already eating a Shabbos-dika meal. You're good. You don't have to stop the old meal and start a new meal to make the Shabbos. On the other hand, it also means I have to make Kiddush. I have to make Kiddush on it.
When Shabbos goes lower.
That's the Shaila. Just like Rav told us, that Shabbos is Kavas LeKiddush. When Shabbos comes in, I'm not allowed to eat until I make Kiddush. Why? Because the time of Shabbos has come. And right now, if you want to eat, great. But you have to make Kiddush. You can't eat Friday night without Kiddush. So Rav argued that, based on this, the moment it gets dark, everything changes. It's like a regular Shabbos. If I didn't have a meal, Shabbos comes in, I can't now start a meal. I have to make Kiddush because Shabbos came in. So even if I'm having a meal, Shabbos turns it into a Shabbos-dika meal and I have to make Kiddush. So maybe the Havdalah exactly the same thing. Shabbos left and the meal became now a Motzei Shabbos-dika meal. You don't have a Motzei Shabbos-dika meal before Havdalah. You have to make Havdalah first.
What would happen by Ma'aseh Shabbos? What would happen by Ma'aseh Shabbos?
According to this, with Ma'aseh, it would be the same thing. You could snack. You could snack from that which wasn't Ma'aseh because Shabbos ended, right? That's what they thought, maybe, that the same pattern would work both ways. That's what they thought. Amalahu,
I mean, why would they even have the question? Because there's a basic idea that, this Friday afternoon meal, you're raising it up to Kodesh, but the Shabbos meal, which is more Kodesh, you're dropping it down.
Oh, but perhaps because Shabbos ended, so the meal was transformed. So now stop, bench, make Havdalah. Amalu Reb Amram said to them, no. Hachi Amar Rav. Rav clarified. Rav said, Lekiddush kevas, v'lo l'Havdalah kevas.
See, we can bench late in the night, and it's still the same.
Shabbos establishes itself and confers a new status to this meal when it comes to Kiddush, but not for Havdalah. So the fact that Shabbos left doesn't mean that Shabbos now left, and now Motzei Shabbos takes over this meal, and therefore I have to make Havdalah before I eat. No, you could continue eating as long as you want, and when you finish, you suda and you bench, then you will do Havdalah. So what is Rabbi Amram saying? That Shabbos leaving is not like Shabbos coming in. Shabbos leaving doesn't turn the meal automatically into a weekday meal. We're having Shalosh Shudas. We take a look at the clock. It's Motzei Shabbos. It's 7 o'clock, let's say. Shabbos ended. Automatically it became a weekday meal. And now you have to stop and make Havdalah and then continue eating like we did Friday night, called Peres Mapo Makadosh. On the contrary, we say, you could continue the meal, gesundheit, als a meal of Shabbos. Why would there be a difference between the two? Why would there be a difference between the two? What do you think is the difference?
Man is the Kodesh.
Oh, so the Rashbam says, Havdalah eina kevas, the kivon she'ischel besudah Shabbos meboid yoim, zeu kvoit Shabbos she'yeh geimer sudasa. It's the honor of Shabbos to finish and continue the meal af la'achar shehechshech, even after it's dark. The whole point of Havdalah and Kiddush is the kavod of Shabbos. So when it's Friday afternoon, Shabbos comes in, the kavod of Shabbos is that it captures the meal, becomes a Shabbos dik meal, so you make Kiddush. Because of that kavod of Shabbos, it extends also in after Shabbos. So it's not, you don't have to make Havdalah, it's not a weekday meal. That's what Rav told us. Zog the Gemara v'hanem mili, but this is a condition l'inyan mifsek, about interrupting the meal. The loy mafsekina. I don't have to interrupt my meal when Shabbos ended in order to make Havdalah. Why? Because the meal is considered a Shabbos dik meal, even if I go till 11 o'clock at night or later. But it can't be a situation where I start having the meal Mitzvah Shabbos and I say it's a Shabbos dik meal. No. If Mitzvah Shabbos came, it's Mitzvah Shabbos. It's Mitzvah Shabbos. And now you have already an obligation to daven Ma'ariv and make Havdalah, and then you can do Malav Malka. If you started the meal on Shabbos, so the meal already continues. Shabbos ended, but as long as you're in the middle of the meal, this covered Shabbos extends the meal. But if you're not having a Suda, and now you say, I want to start a meal Mitzvah Shabbos as a Shabbos dik meal. It doesn't have what to grab onto. Shabbos ended already. Once Shabbos ended, you can't eat till you make Havdalah. Just like Friday night, the same thing. I can't come Friday night and say, I want to just have a meal right now. Now there's already halacha to make Kiddush. Like we said before, you have to make Kiddush. The Kiddush is over there, even if you had a meal in the afternoon, you have to make Kiddush, because Shabbos came in, you have to make Kiddush. Here, you don't have to make Havdalah right away, because it's considered what? It's considered a Shabbos dik meal. And the fact is that the Chachamim prohibited a Jew to eat before Kiddush and to eat before Havdalah. So to come at Shabbos and say, I want to eat now as a Shabbos dik meal, you can't. To eat as a Mitzvah Shabbos dik meal, you also can't. Because just like you can't eat Friday night before Kiddush, even according to Rabbi Yossi, you could eat, it's only if you started the meal earlier. But to start a meal without Kiddush Friday night, everybody says you're not allowed to eat before Kiddush and before Havdalah. And the reason for this is because even though usually when the time of a mitzvah comes, they didn't allow you to have a meal, but you could have a little snack in the time of a mitzvah. Here, you're not allowed to even have a little snack before Kiddush and Havdalah, because the mitzvah of Kiddush and Havdalah is betchila zmanam. The mitzvah is to do it in the beginning of the time, meaning when Shabbos comes in and when Shabbos comes out, unless you are already involved in a meal and then you don't have to stop for Havdalah. And therefore, he says this is only about interrupting a meal that you don't have to be. Now let us start after Shabbos. And even when we say you don't have to interrupt a meal on Shabbos, ela ba'achila, it's only if you were eating. Aval b'shia, let's say it's Shalosh Shudas time, and people get together to drink wine. You know, to get together, you get together Shabbos late afternoon to drink wine, and Mitzvah Shabbos comes, he says here this doesn't apply. You have to stop the drinking, make Havdalah, and then you could continue drinking. In other words, when you were eating Shabbos afternoon, a Suda, like Shalosh Shudas you're eating, then it continues till after Shabbos, and it's considered a Shabbos dik meal. Mitzvah Shabbos came, Mitzvah Shabbos doesn't take away the status of the Shabbos dik meal. But if it was just a gathering for Shia, for drinking, then Mitzvah Shabbos does take away the status of a drink, of a Shabbos dik drink, and now it's a Mitzvah Shabbos dik drink. Now gesundheit hate, but you just have to make Havdalah first. Ushi nami. And now, of course, we're not talking about drinking as part of the meal. If you're drinking part of the meal, then it's part of the meal. You don't have to stop that. You understand? That's what Tosfos says, very important. Second to the last Tosfos, I will shia mafsikin. Pirush shia beloy suuda de ein bakviya sulakach mafsik. It doesn't mean that if we're having shalosh shudas, I'm not allowed to drink after Shabbos. I'm allowed to drink as part of the eating. We're talking about drinking independently, outside of eating. We just get together to drink coffee. Shabbos afternoon, we have to stop Mitzvah Shabbos. Why? Because it's not a su'uda that has a kviyus, that has a permanent sense of establishment that will trump the energy of Mitzvah Shabbos. And when did we say that you have to interrupt the drinking? If you were drinking on Shabbos and Motzei Shabbos comes, or you can't start drinking Motzei Shabbos, if we're talking about wine or beer. But if it's just water, less lanba, then I don't mind. I don't mind if you continue drinking water after Shabbos comes, before Havdalah, or you drink Motzei Shabbos before Havdalah. We don't mind if you drink water. In other words, the issue here is not about water. The issue here is about a more permanent, serious drink like wine, beer, etc. And the Gemara says, "Pliga de Reb Huna." This instruction argues with Reb Huna. The Reb Huna chazil lahu gaver de shasamaya kaidem Havdalah. Reb Huna saw somebody drinking water Motzei Shabbos before Havdalah. Amalei said to him, "Lei mistafe mar me askara." Is the master not afraid of askara? How do they?
Diphtheria.
What?
Diphtheria.
Diphtheria, disease in the throat, right? A disease in the throat.
It's constricted, right? When it's like the pipe is closed.
Actually, membrane.
Yeah.
Membrane.
Yeah, you're not afraid. Why? The Tanam Ishmei Rabbi Akiva, we learned in the name of Rabbi Akiva, Kol hatoyim klum kaidem sheyavdil, if somebody tastes something before Havdalah, misasei ba'askara. The consequence is askara, which means something in the throat. The Jewish throat is very, very sensitive. And Motzei Shabbos before Havdalah, they're not allowed to eat anything or drink anything. And Rabbi Huna believes this is even water. Even water you're not allowed to drink before Havdalah. So when the Jewish throat absorbs this type of food that it's allergic to because of its sensitivity, so it affects the throat. So he said, you're not afraid. So we see Rabbi Huna cares even about water. The previous Gemara said it's only about wine or sheikhar. But Rabbi Huna said even water. However, Rabbanan the Bei Rabbi Ashi lekapdei amaya. The rabbis who learned in the Beis Medrash Rabbi Ashi, they were not makpid, they were not diligent about water. In other words, they did not believe that it's prohibited in any way to drink water before Havdalah. A person is thirsty Motzei Shabbos, and you didn't make Havdalah yet, or you were drinking Friday Shabbos afternoon, and Motzei Shabbos came in. According to Rabbi Huna, you would stop everything, even water, unless you washed and you're part of a meal. And according to Rabbanan the Bei Rabbi Ashi, like kapdei amaya, you could continue drinking water.
Seems like
Doesn't the
somebody was...
Alter Rebbe bring this? You're not supposed to because of the neshama. It's a different opinion.
The halacha in Shulchan Aruch is that you're allowed to drink water before Havdalah, even though it's brought in Svarim that it's kedai to be machmer not to drink anything before Havdalah, even water. But halacha is like the Abon and the Bei Reb Ashi that you're allowed to drink water before Havdalah. Before Kiddush, actually not, but before Havdalah, yeah.
The Alter Rebbe brings something about the neshamas that they get upset when people use up the water. They need to cool off.
The Shoma is airing.
Yeah, water before Kiddush.
So they have to return.
Once Shabbos comes in. Friday you could drink water. Once Shabbos comes in, you first make Kiddush.
Some Yisera go away from the Mount Shabbos.
We see that as long as you continue the meal of Shabbos, it's still Shabbos. Yeah, you don't have to make Havdalah. The meal is considered Shabbos, yeah. Taisvus Shabbos.
Shabbos Day Kiddush has the same status.
Yeah, we make Kiddush before we eat, yeah.
Right, I know.
We make Kiddush before we eat.
It has the same status.
You're referring to, yeah, also, yeah. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Boi menei Ravina bei Reb Nachman by Yitzchak. Ravina asked a question from Reb Nachman by Yitzchak, Mi shaloi Kiddush b'Erev Shabbos. If somebody did not make Kiddush on Erev Shabbos, he did not, Erev Shabbos, of course, we mean Friday night. What's the question? Ma'u she'yikadosh v'hoilech kol hayom kuloi. Can this person still make Kiddush throughout the day of Shabbos and fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush? A person was not feeling well or forgot or slept through Friday night, whatever it was. You wake up Shabbos morning, you didn't make Kiddush, can you still make Kiddush throughout the day? Amalei, Reb Nachman by Yitzchak answers Ravina. Absolutely yes. He's making the night Kiddush by day. The day Kiddush by day is just Boire Pri Agafen. It's not really Kiddush. The Kiddush by day is what you do all week. If I drink wine right now, I'm going to make B'rei Pri Hagafen just like Shabbos day. Shabbos day, we don't make Kiddush outside of B'rei Pri Hagafen, right? All the text that we say before is just psukim that you say before Kiddush, but it's not Kiddush. It's not a bracha Kiddush. The only Kiddush that we make a special bracha with Hashem's name is Friday night. So if he didn't do that Friday night, can he do that during the day? Or you say, no, this was the time for it, and the time passed. It passed, you know. If you didn't eat matzah on Pesach, you're going to start eating matzah on Lag BaOmer. If you didn't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah, you're going to start blowing it on Sukkot. This is the time for Kiddush. Amalei Reb Nachman said, "Mi da amri b'nei Reb Chia." Since the children of Reb Chia told us, "Mi shleihiv del Mitzvah Shabbos mavdel v'elechol Shabbos kuloi." If somebody didn't make havdalah on Mitzvah Shabbos, the children of Reb Chia taught us you could make havdalah throughout the week. As we're going to see later, till Tuesday evening, you can make havdalah. So hachanami mi shalei kiddush b'erev Shabbos mekadosh v'elechol yom kuloi. So basing it on that idea, if you didn't do Kiddush Friday night, you could do it a whole day of Shabbos. Just like with Havdalah. The time of Havdalah is Mitzvah Shabbos. Nonetheless, if you didn't do Havdalah Mitzvah Shabbos, what do? You could do Havdalah later. So Kiddush, the same thing. The time of Kiddush is the night of Shabbos, Friday night. But if you didn't, you could do it on Shabbos. Amalei, Eisva, Ravina challenged Reb Nachman by Yitzchak. We have a brisa, Leili Shabbos v'Leili Yom Tov yesh ben kedusha lakois. The nights of Shabbos and the nights of Yom Tov, you make a special bracha of Kiddush on a cup of wine. On Shabbos we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kedeshanu b'mitzvos v'ratza banu, etc. Mekadesh HaShabbos. And Yom Tov, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikolam v'reimimanu, etc. Mekadesh Yisrael v'hazmanim. We make a special bracha of Kiddush on a cup. Number 2, v'yesh ben haskara b'brichas hamazon. And when we bench after the meal, we mention the day. On Shabbos we say Ritzei v'hachlitzenu, and Yom Tov we add Yala v'Yaveh. There's a special mention and mention. Shabbos v'Yom Tov, but what about Shabbos and Yom Tov by day, not by night? By day, ein b'em kedusha lakois. Here, there's no special bracha of Kiddush on a cup of wine. You pick up a cup of wine and all you say is B'rei Pri Hagafen, v'yesh ben askara b'brichas hamazon. But still, by day when you bench, you have to mention either Ritzei or Yala v'Yaveh. If Reb Nachman, if you were right, Reb Nachman, that if you didn't make Kiddush Friday night, you make Kiddush a whole day, so Shabbos v'Yom Tov nami mashkachas ludi yesh ben kedusha lakois. Why does the Brisa say that the day of Shabbos and Yom Tov you never make a bracha of Kiddush on a cup of wine? You could make di like Kiddush mayurta mekadosh l'macha. Because if you didn't make Kiddush at night, you do it in the morning, by next day. So why does the Brisa unequivocally say that by day there's no bracha of Kiddush on a cup of wine? If you were right, Reb Nachman, Rav Binu was trying to prove Reb Nachman wrong. Amalei, Reb Nachman said, please, the like Tani. A case of if, the Brisa doesn't talk about. You're right. If it happens that you didn't make Kiddush at night, you could make by day. The Brisa is not talking about a case of the a case of if you forgot. Like Tani, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the ordinary fashion of things where you make Kiddush at night and you don't make Kiddush by day, you just make B'rei Pri Hagafen. But it does not delegitimize my view. Eisva, Ravina didn't give up. Eisva, he continued to challenge Ravina. We have another brisa. Kvoid yoim ukvoid laila, kvoid yoim koidem. If it's a question of respect for the day or respect for the night of Shabbos, the day comes first. Meaning, let's say I have delicacies. A big challah, small challah, more wine, and I could use it by night or use it by day. I don't have enough for both. Meaning, I have enough wine for Kiddush Friday night. Besides that, for Kiddush by night and by day, I have a little extra wine. When do I use that wine? Wine brings me delight. I like to drink in the middle of the meal. Do I do that at night? Do I do it by day? And the person is confused. Kvoid yoim koidem. Says the Brisa, the honor of the day of Shabbos takes precedence over the honor of the night. What if you only have one cup of wine? And if you're going to leave it for the day, you're not going to have enough for Kiddush Friday night. Then the Brisa says, Oimerol of Kiddush Hayoim. You make Kiddush Friday night, the Kiddush of the day, meaning not Kiddush of daytime. The Kiddush of Shabbos, the Kiddush of Yom HaShabbos, which you do Friday night, you do it on the cup of wine Friday night, even though it means that tomorrow you won't be able to make Kiddush because you don't have wine. Mipnei shekiddush hayoim koidem lekvoid yoim echvoid laila. Because the Kiddush of Friday night, don't get mixed up with Kiddush hayoim. The Kiddush of Friday night takes precedence over the kavod, over the honor and the glory of the meal during the day and the meal during the night. The Kiddush of the night, which is before the meal, takes precedence over the Kiddush of the day and the wine that you would drink during the meal Friday night or during the meal Shabbos day. So the bracha on Kiddush Friday night is superior to kavod hayom. So if I have only one cup, I make Kiddush Friday night before the meal, and I don't delay it, I don't leave it for tomorrow's meal or tomorrow's Kiddush. If you were right that you can make Kiddush by day, if you didn't make at night, leave the cup of wine till tomorrow. And then you'll kill two birds with one stone. You'll do both, because you'll make Kiddush by day and you'll have the kavod of the day, because you have wine by the meal Shabbos afternoon. Since you said kvoid yoim is superior to kvoid laila, so why don't you postpone the Kiddush till the day, and then you have both. So you have the mile of Kiddush, and so you have the mile of kvoid hayom, even though you're not drinking the cup in the middle of the meal, but you're drinking it right before the meal. Amalei, Reb Nachman said, chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. It's more cherishable, it's more beloved to do a mitzvah in the proper time, initially. I meant that if you didn't make Kiddush Friday night, you could compensate. But that's not the time of the mitzvah. The time of the mitzvah is chaviva mitzvah b'shaita Friday night, so therefore you could make Kiddush a whole day of Shabbos if you didn't. But the Bryce is not going to say that you should postpone it from the main time of Kiddush. As a result of that, you're not going to have tomorrow Kiddush, Ein Chanami. But Kiddush Hayoim of the night comes first, and therefore Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita. And because Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, make Kiddush on the cup by night.
He says to make it, if you don't, you make the next day. You make again afterwards. It's both for the night and the day, really?
I didn't understand your question.
If he says if you don't make it night, you make the next day, that was for the night before. Then you would make another one for the day?
Well, we make Kiddush.
No, I'm saying, he's making it...
According to his question was you make Kiddush only by day.
Right.
Only by day. Oh, and by night, according to this, you would eat without Kiddush. You can make Kiddush on Challah. If you have Challah, you make Kiddush on Challah.
I mean, he forgot. The whole reason is he forgot.
You make Kiddush on Challah, you're not making Kiddush tomorrow on wine.
Then you don't make Kiddush on wine.
So can you make a Kiddush on wine and not to drink?
So he wouldn't have Challah, he wouldn't have wine, and yet he would still be able to eat. He won't have to starve because he's just delaying the Kiddush because he wants to do another mitzvah with the cup. So he could still eat. He's just delaying the Kiddush because he wants to do another mitzvah. So you would let him eat. I mean, this is all the Havamin. At the conclusion, we don't say that. You make Kiddush at night. But according to the Havamin, you would still be able to eat.
Can he make a Kiddush without drinking?
No.
But Suda should do it.
We'll soon see. Good question.
If he forgot, he has to make the normal Kiddush in the morning, or he has to still make the night Kiddush?
The night Kiddush. The night Kiddush, yeah. We're talking about making the night Kiddush by day if he forgot, yeah. But the time of the mitzvah is Friday night. So Ravina says, do you really believe that chaviva mitzvah b'shaita, meaning that a mitzvah is beloved to do in the right time, even when it comes to these brachas? We do find chaviva mitzvah b'shaita actually earlier in Masechta Pesachim about an interesting situation. And that is, they used to bring a carbon tamid on Shabbos, even though you're not allowed to slaughter an animal on Shabbos or burn food on Shabbos. But there's a special mitzvah that the carbon tamid you bring every day of the week. Pasuk says, Oilas Shabbos b'Shabbatoi. The chiddush is not only do you slaughter it, but you also take the limbs and you burn it on the mizbeach on Shabbos. Even though hektar chalavim, you could do mitzvah Shabbos, you could do it at night. You could burn the limbs a whole night, so l'chayri you should wait till mitzvah Shabbos and then do it. What do you have to violate Shabbos? The answer is chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. The Gemara learns out that to do a mitzvah in its right time is so precious, it will even take over Shabbos. You know, that since you're allowed to do the carbon on Shabbos, you're allowed to do even the parts of the carbon that you could push off to the night. Because chaviva mitzvah b'shaita, the Torah allows us to burn the limbs on Shabbos. We have a pasuk, Oilas Shabbos b'Shabbatoi. So from here we learn a Gevaldika Yisoid, that whenever there's an opportunity to do a mitzvah in the time, or do a mitzvah later, even though you might think there's no difference, but from here we learn, How precious it is, because the Torah lets us even do it on Shabbos, even though you could do it later. That's the idea of Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita. So Ravina says, do you really believe that this applies also to Brachas? Vatanya, we have a Braisa. Hanichnas l'beisiv b'Motzai Shabbos. If somebody comes into his house on Motzai Shabbos, Ravina is asking Reb Nachman, come to his house, Mevarech al hayayin al hamoyer v'al hapsamim v'achachem v'avdal al hakos. You make hagafen, b'rei merei eish, b'rei minei b'samim, this is the view of Rishama, and then you say havdalah. Well, like we do, make hagafen, we do psamim, eish, and havdalah. V'meinli al hakos echad. What if you only have one cup of wine, and if you make havdalah right now, you're going to have malav malka, you're going to want to bench, and you're not going to have a cup of wine to bench on, because you used up the wine for havdalah. Then the halach is, manichei ad lacher hamazon. Wait with your havdalah till after the meal, umeshal shalon kulan la'acharav. And you will have, how does he translate meshal shalon? Combine, huh? Umeshal shalon kulan la'acharav. Huh? You will link them all together, meaning you will bench over a cup of wine. When you finish benching, you'll make hagafen, psamim, ha'esh, bermesh, havdalah, and you'll drink it like we do. Put it all together. Now, when are you supposed to do havdalah mitzvah Shabbos? Before Malava Malka. You're not supposed to eat before havdalah, as we learned before. Nonetheless, here you say, because we want him to be able to make benching, to do benching a cup of wine, he only has one cup of wine, he could delay havdalah till after. You don't say the preciousness of a mitzvah is in its time. If you were right, Reb Nachman, that you're mevatel kvoid yoim, you're not going to have wine Shabbos day. You're going to compromise and get rid of kvoid yoim. Why? To make Kiddush Friday night, because chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. So if so, too here, you should say, no cup for benching, because chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. Just like you said, no cup Shabbos day, because chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. No cup for benching, because chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. Why is it, when it comes to havdalah, we delay the havdalah till after benching? And when it comes to Kiddush, we will not delay the Kiddush to the next day in order to have the value of Kvoid Yom, of honoring the day of Shabbos with Einik Shabbos. But it's B'shaita. Chaviva mitzvah B'shaita. B'shaita, it's not B'shaita. V'haraya, if you have wine, you're not allowed to do this. You have to do Havdalah first. You come home, you make Havdalah, and then you do Lava Malka and benching. Amalei, he responds. And I have to tell you, this is going to be quite a response. The fact, in the whole Shas, there's no response like this. The whole Shas, there's no response. He asked him a question, a contradiction, which is very common in Gemara, and he can explain his svara. But before he gets into his svara, he gives this whole huge introduction. Ano, let me tell you who I am. Loi chachimano, I'm not a chacham. I'm not a wise guy, as we would say. V'loi chayzono, I'm not a prophet. I'm not an individual. I'm not on my own. Ela gamrana v'sadranana. Let me tell you who I am. I'm a gamrana. I'm somebody who learns. V'sadran, and I'm a person who's organized. I organize things. V'chein moedin b'bei medrash kavasi. And that's how they teach in the Beis Medrash. The halacha is like me. And now he says, now let me explain to you. Shaini lon b'niyula yoyim ala fuka yoyim. There's a big difference between the day coming in and the day going out. The day coming in, meaning Shabbos coming in, kol kama demakdemin and le'adif. The earlier you bring in, you welcome Shabbos, you make Kiddush for Shabbos, the better it is. And we have a love to it. We cherish the opportunity to be able to sanctify and welcome the Shabbos ASAP, as soon as possible. When the day is leaving, we're happy to delay it. We don't see Shabbos as a burden. Tuna is a burden, a master that you want to get rid of. We're happy to delay the departure of Shabbos. We're happy to postpone Mitzvah Shabbos to be later. And that's why if we have episode reason to delay Havdalah, we don't mind. Chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. We have two priorities. There's a priority of Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. There's the priority we like to hold on to Shabbos. Friday night, there's only one priority. Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. There's no priority to start, make Kiddush later. On the contrary, that's a negative. If you have no choice, you have no choice. If you slept through, you slept through. But lechatchila, we say chaviv mitzvah b'shaita because here the chavivus is absolute because we're welcoming Shabbos. We're making kiddush on Shabbos. But here we have another priority that competes with chaviv mitzvah b'shaita. We like the idea of havdalah being later. We like the idea of extending Shabbos. That's something precious. So usually you're not allowed to. If I have wine, I'm not allowed to say I'm going to eat and I'll make havdalah later. You're not allowed to eat before havdalah. That's takanas chazal. But if I have 1 cup of wine and there's a reason to postpone it, why? Because of benching. So you should be able to bench on wine. We're good. And we say that we do it.
It's the problem. Because it's not extended Shabbos, it's Milaveh Malka's meal we're talking about. Milaveh Malka is also after Shabbos. For prolonging Shabbos, if it would talk about food.
No, you're right. We're not extending Shabbos, but we're saying goodbye to Shabbos. We're acknowledging that Shabbos is over. That's what Havdalah is. Hamavdal ben kodesh l'chal. You're right. We're not extending Shabbos because we don't have Shalashudas before. But the point is, we're delaying the declaration that Shabbos is over. You know the people who sit Shabbos afternoon. When is Shabbos over? When is Shabbos over? The moment that it's Hamavdal ben kodesh l'chal, pizza. You'd say Havdalah later. Yeah.
There are some people that are very machid to say the minute Shabbos is over, to do Havdalah. Because there's somewhere...
They want the doors of Gehenna to open up fast. What is the...
Gehenna open up fast if you light it up. Right, that's the reason. But there is somebody who's also a home and bring that it's a segula for Parnosa actually to do Havdalah before you do anything else.
Oh,
So Milaveh Malka is actually anything else. Right?
No, listen. L'chatchila, you do Havdalah. But the point here is there's a reason. And not I'm going to say to eat before Havdalah. You're not allowed to. But here, when there's a reason, so he says, that's why don't contradict what I'm saying from the Brisa. But what's his introduction? The introduction is, this is a very strange, the whole shas you have, somebody said something, they contradicted him, and he gave an answer. But not with this whole Agdom. Ich bin nicht kein Chacham, I'm not a prophet, I'm not on my own. Everyone could say, I'm not a Chacham, I'm not a wise guy, I'm not trying to outsmart everybody, I'm not a Navi, I don't hear voices, I'm a student, this is what I learned, I organized it. It's a very, very, I'm telling you, in the whole Shas, we don't have such a response from one Amida to another Amida when he challenged him.
It's like he's personally offended.
It's a very intense response. He asked him a question. True, Ravina was asking a lot of questions, that's true. He kept on asking. Somehow he was not making peace with the statement from Reb Nachman. So finally, Reb Nachman, so to speak, gives him this lecture. You think I'm a chacham? You think I'm stubborn? You think I'm a prophet? You think I'm the only one? You think I'm trying to make a new halacha? There's a reason for this. They paskin like me in the Beis Medrash. I didn't just come up with this idea. You should make kiddush a whole day on Shabbos. If you didn't make Friday night, you could make kiddush a whole day on Shabbos, even though you're supposed to make Friday night and you don't push off kiddush till the day. But rather, there's a reason. There's a rhyme behind it. So the Rashbam says, if you take a look at the Rashbam, Loi chachima ana, he says, Loi amina lo midatoi lahad chaviv mitzvah b'shaita. This is not my own thing. It's not like I consider myself a chacham, and I came up with this idea, chaviv mitzvah b'shaita, that kiddush you should make Friday night right away, even if you can have it later for kvoid hayom the next day. V'loi chayzan, I'm not a magid. I'm not a foreteller. I hear prophecies and I tell the future. How does that come in there? Nor am I quoting an individual that you could say everybody argues with me. I learned this in yeshiva from others. It's not my chiddush. All my halachas I organized. I set them up in front of my rebbes and I got their agreement. In other words, what he's trying to say is you could rely on me, Rabbina. This is not something, I went to sleep, I had a nice cholim, and I decided this new halacha. You can rely on me. It's ois gehalt.
Isn't the normal way that he quotes somebody in the name of somebody?
Right, I'm saying it's not a regular response. He can also just say the svara.
So what prompted him?
Good. Ubetalmidei Rabbeinu Yitzchak Kasaf. In Talmidim Rabbeinu Yitzchak say, Hachi Garsina. Loi chachime v'loi gamranana ele mesadranana. Not gamrana, no, loy gamrana. I'm not even a gamrana. V'nira li pirush hadavar. Let me explain what I think is the explanation of this girsa. Loy chachima no loy ma shamarti meyatri mekadosh v'helech kalayim kula. It's not my own wisdom that I said you can make Kiddush a whole Shabbos if you didn't make Friday night. V'gam l'taritz chaviva mitzvah b'shait. And also to come up with the answer that the Brisa says you don't make Kiddush the next day if you have only one cup of wine because chaviva mitzvah b'shait. It's not my own chachma to do all of this and to answer the contradiction. I did not learn this from my teachers. Ella sadranana. Kol sidrei brachis kiddush v'avdala nasati leiv behen levareres kulam. I dedicated my heart to organize and make a system of all the halachas of brachas, kiddush and avdala. Loinis yashafti at shamadati al ikaron v'al sidron lahoris loylam kain. I did not settle down until I managed to capture, to understand the ikr, the yisoides, the fundamentals, and the order to be able to give direction to the whole world how to do this. Sadranana, it's not that I learned to somebody told me a few halachas and I'm just repeating what they said. No. I dedicated my life to be mesader, all these halachas, to make a system to understand, and that's why I'm saying this with authority, and that's when he makes the chilik, that what? When the day is coming in, you want to make Kiddush as fast as possible. Chaviva mitzvah b'shait is reason magdim el mitzvah, as the Rashbam says. But Avdallah, if you have epis an excuse, we don't mind delaying it. These are the two lashonos of the Rashbam. The Sameach, Rabbeinu Meir Simcha HaKoyen of Dvinsk, the Rav of Dvinsk, also known as the Meshech Chachma. He passed away Tofresh Pei Vav, 1926, before the war. He's called Meshech Chachma. Meshech is Meir Simcha Kohen. Meshech, he called it on his name, Meir Simcha Kohen. He didn't have children, so he gave his sefer his own name, Meir Simcha Kohen. I think he had one child who predeceased him. And he's known as the Sameach because of his commentary on Rambam called Sameach. I saw this morning that in Hilchos Shabbos Perik Chavtes, he gives an original interpretation what Reb Nachman meant with these expressions. Why he said it over here. Yeah. He says, Lahavin divrei chachamim v'chidoisam. To understand the riddle of what Reb Nachman meant with these words. And he says, he was trying to say, he wasn't giving all these expressions, he was rather bringing out a certain point. So this is what Sameach says. It has to do with what we learned earlier on Daf Kuf Gimel. When Shabbos and Yom Tov come together, and Motzei Shabbos, you have to make Kiddush and Havdalah. What do we do first? Do we do first Kiddush? We do first Havdalah. So I'm going to ask you to go back for a moment. Take a look. It was Kuv Beis, the bottom of Amud Beis, the last line. Kuv Beis, the last line on the bottom. You see? Yom Tov Shechali is Achar HaShabbos, Rav Omar Yaknaha, Ushmuel Omar Yanhak. Rav said, Yayin, Kiddush, Neir, Havdalah. You first start with Hagafen, Kiddush, like always, then you go to Havdalah. No psamim, but Shmuel said, no. Start with Yayin, Neir, Havdalah, then Kiddush. What's the argument here? Rav Tainas, Kiddush before Havdalah. Shmuel Tainas, Havdalah before Kiddush. Right? That's clear what's happening. What's the svara here? What's the svara? Why would Rav say Kiddush before Havdalah? Yeah. What do you think? So you could say a few things. The first thing is, to make Kiddush is more chashuv than to make Havdalah. You're welcoming Shabbos. You're welcoming Yom Tov. Yeah. That's the mitzvah. Now you're welcoming, you want to make Kiddushes, because you welcome, Havdalah, you're saying goodbye to Shabbos. Kiddush, you're welcoming Yom Tov. Another reason you could say is if you make Havdalah right away before Kiddush, what does it look like? You want to get rid of Shabbos, you want to get rid of the burden. So you delay Havdalah. First make Kiddush, do Yayin, do Kiddush, and then do your Neir and your Havdalah. And that's what we do. The halach is like Rav, right? Yaknahas, we first make Kiddush, and then we'll do Havdalah, then we do Shechion. Shmuel is the opposite. Shmuel says first Havdalah, then make Kiddush. Then the Gemara on Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph goes through a whole series of people, right? You remember? Rabbi says, Yahanak, Yayin, Havdalah, Ner Kiddush. Again, first Havdalah, then Kiddush. Levi, Kniya, first Kiddush, Havdalah only at the end. Rabbanon, Vaite Kina, Vaite Kiddush. So Rabbi holds like Shmuel, but Levi holds like Rav. Rabbanon is like Rav. Mar Berei de Rabbana, Mar the son of the rabbis, again like Rav, Kiddush. Mar Tama Mishmei de Rabbi Yeshua, right? If we do Nehik, according to the Geser of the Ram, Nehik is again Havdalah, like Shmuel. Then the Gemara says, the father of Shmuel asked Rabbi, what do you do? He says, Rabbi Shmuel, in the name of Rabbi Yossi, in the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, Nehik, Neir Havdalah. Again, Havdalah first, this is the view of Shmuel. And Rabbi Chanina said, what's the mashal? The mashal is the king leaves and the duke comes in. And now you have a choice to do two things. You can ignore the king and welcome the duke, or you can ignore the duke and welcome the king and say goodbye to the king. What do you do first? You go say goodbye to the king, and then you welcome the duke. Shabbos is the king, Yom Tov is the duke. You don't let the king go and welcome the duke. First you go say goodbye to the king left, then you go welcome the duke. So that's why Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya said you first do Havdalah, and then you do Kiddush. What's the halacha? Abaye and Rava, both paskin like Rav. We do Yayin, Kiddush, Neir, Havdalah, Zman, we do Kiddush first. That's what's going on here. It's a Lebediki Gemara with all of these shittas that we learned a few days ago, right? What do we have here, essentially, competing against each other? What do we have here? Zog the Sameach, he says, let's think about this. Okay? Let's think about this.
You might want to keep the king around longer. You might want to welcome the prince in and keep the king around longer. Or you might want to escort the king out first, and then it could go both ways.
Yeah. We have two sides. If you say like Rav, Kiddush becomes before Havdalah, or you say like Shmuel, Havdalah comes before Kiddush. So we understand Kiddush before Havdalah. You want to delay saying goodbye to Shabbos as much as possible. So first you'll welcome Yom Tov, and then you'll do Havdalah to Shabbos. That's what Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak said here. That's why I will delay Havdalah till after benching. Granted? Great. If you say Havdalah before Kiddush, the Gemara says clearly the reason. You first escort the king before you welcome the duke. Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak said what? You could delay Havdalah till after benching. But Kiddush, you should do the first thing because Chaviv mitzvah b'shaita. What's his svara? His svara is Friday night, make Kiddush first because you can chap on Kiddush. Shabbos night, Mitzvah Shabbos, any little excuse to delay Havdalah is good. Delay Havdalah. I Chaviv mitzvah b'shaita, but there's a tremendous priority to keep Shabbos in as long as possible. So the Sameach says that basically when you understood that Gemara, Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak was simply referring back to that whole sugya of Gemara. But the way he conveyed it was in a very, very interesting way. In order for Reb Nachman Bar Yitzchak to prove and show that he's right, so he wants to tell Ravina that even though you say Chaviv mitzvah b'shaita, nonetheless it's better to delay Havdalah. Why? Because Shabbos is leaving. So he says, let me show you what happened over there when Yom Tov was Chal Mitzvah Shabbos, when it came to the argument of Kiddush before Havdalah or Havdalah before Kiddush. You could say when it comes to Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, Havdalah should win. Why should Havdalah win? What does Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita mean? When it comes to the mitzvah in the right time, do this mitzvah. What's the mitzvah that comes first? Havdalah or Kiddush Mitzvah Shabbos? What do you think logically? Havdalah, why? Because Havdalah is the end of Shabbos. That's the Shaita. Right? Even though it happens the same time, but logically, Havdalah is the Shaita. You were busy a whole Shabbos, and now you're saying goodbye to Shabbos. It's closure for Shabbos. Kiddush is a new thing. Yeah, now there's also a mitzvah of Kiddush, but what comes first? You take care of the old and then deal with the new. So it's at Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, Havdalah has to be first. If you really believe in Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita. It's true, there's also Kiddush B'Shaita, but you can't compare it to Havdalah. So we understand if you say Havdalah before Kiddush, because Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita. Especially if you're dealing with a king. You're not just taking care of the old, you're taking care of the king. Rather than ignoring the king and saying, okay, we were with you a whole day, now leave on your own. Yeah, like a guest is by you a whole day. He wants to leave. I'm busy now with somebody else. Who, a duke? First say goodbye. So that's the B'Shaita, and it's not just B'Shaita, it's also a melech versus a duke. So Mitzat Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, Havdalah comes before Kiddush. Nonetheless, the svara of Shabbos shouldn't be a burden is so powerful that you're going to defy Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, not make Havdalah, ignore the king, so to speak, who's about to leave and say, wait, we're busy. Why? Because we want to hold on to the king as much as possible. Don't leave. You want an escort, Gesundheit, stay. Stay. It's not covered. You're running to the duke, the king wants to leave. That's what we want. That's going to win. If this is true, that you're ignoring the king who wants to go, you want to hold on to him. You're ignoring Mitzvah B'Shaita. Why? One thing. Because you don't want to delay you want to delay the departure of Shabbos. Certainly here, when it's Mitzvah Shabbos, and the question is what? When to make Havdalah versus Birchas Hamazon, you could say delay Havdalah. How's Reb Nachman saying this? So he says, the first thing he says is, Loi chachimana. I'm not a chachim. What's I'm not a chachim? Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, who was the one who said Havdalah before Kiddush, Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, the Gemara says about him in Maseches Pcheiros that when they had to have a debate between the sages of Athens and the Jewish people, who did they choose? Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. His expression was, Chachima de Yehudai ana. I'm the Chacham of the Jewish people. He was considered the great debater. So he says, Loi Chachima ana. I'm not Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Next, Loi Chayza ana. I'm not a visionary. Who's that? Shmuel. Shmuel says, that's a Masechta Brachas Daf Nun Ches. Nehirin li shvili di rakia, keshvili di nahardah. For me, the pathways of heaven are as clear as the pathways of Mesidi Nahardah, because Shmuel was an extraordinary astronomer. A chayza is also somebody who sees all the astronomical constellations. The Medrash Rabbah Parshas Tzavim Shmuel calls himself astrolugin, a great astrologist and a great astronomer. That's chayza b'kechavim. He says, I'm no chachim, I'm no Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, and I'm no Shmuel. Shmuel also holds Havdalah before Kiddush. Lo yichidana. I'm not a yachid. The Gemara says about Metzia Daf Peivav. There was an argument between Hashem, Kivayachal, Kutchabrichu, and Mesifta de Rakia. The halacha is this week's parsha, right? If there's first a white patch, and then the hair becomes black, the hair becomes white, totame. If the hair changes and then the white patch, not. If it's a suffix, Machloikas Kutchabrichu, and Mesifta de Rakia. What the halach is. And the Gemara says, let's ask Rabbi. Why? Why Rabbi? Because Rabbi said, Yachid ana b'negoyim abahalas. I'm a yachid. I'm a singular expert in the issues of leprosy. He says, Lo yichida ana. I'm not like Rabbi. Rabbi again on Daf Kuf Gimel says, Yahanek, Havdalah comes before Kiddush. I'm no chachim like Rabbi Shlomo Chananya. I'm no star astronomical expert like Shmuel. I'm no yachid like Rabbi Bar Nachmani. He says, Weiter, Elo Gamrona. I'm a Gamrona. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin Yud Zayin Amid Beis, whenever they said that somebody was loimed lifnei chachamim, learned before the chachamim, it's Levi. It's Levi. What did Levi hold? Levi says Kniya, Kiddush before Havdalah. Weiter he says Sadrona. The Gemara says in Chulun Kuf Lamed Zayin, Reish Sadra beBavel Abba Aricha. The main organizer of Torah in Babylonia was Rav, Abba Aricha. He says, Sadrana, Rav, who disagrees with Shmuel, who holds that Kiddush before Havdalah. He says, V'chein moidim b'bei medrasha kavasi, in the whole base medrash they say like me, that's Rabbanon, because the Rabbanon say Kina, again, Kiddush before Havdalah. That's the Rabbanon. They hold Kiddush Havdalah. What do they hold? They all hold Kiddush before Havdalah because you want to delay Havdalah as much as possible. So he says you have Shmuel, Chayzah. Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, Chachimah. Rabbi, Yechidah. They all hold Havdalah before Kiddush. They don't believe that you have to delay Havdalah. They hold Havdalah before. He doesn't mention Mar B'Reidi Rabbina, even though he also holds Kiddush before, because he was a contemporary. So that wouldn't be a support for him. He was a contemporary. So he says, I go with all the Tanaim and the Amirayim, Levi, Rav, and the Chachamim, who all hold Kiddush before Havdalah, because you want to hold on to the king as long as possible, and therefore here too, if you could delay Havdalah till after benching, you will delay Havdalah till after benching, even though there's only one cup of wine, and you don't say Chaviva Mitzvah b'shaita. The Sameach finishes, Kei nir lefarish hamalitza hatzacha ashaloi motzanu kamoya b'shas. So it seems to me to interpret this unique type of prose which we don't find anywhere in Shas. This was basically his way of saying what his shitta is and what his support does. I'm not a chacham, I'm not a chayza, I'm not a yechida, I'm a gamrana and a sadrana, and the halacha, which means in his own way he really was referring to all the names that supported him. Okay.
Who's the gamrana? Who's the gamrana? Who's the sadrana?
Gamrana is Levi, Sadrana is Rav. Both Levi and Rav hold that you make Kiddush before Havdalah. Even though Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, right? Because Levi, it says that he was the Sadran, the Gamrana. The Gemara says in Sanhedrin Yud Zayin about Levi, L'meidin L'fnei Chachamim Zeh Levi. L'meidin L'fnei Chachamim Zeh Levi. And Sadrana is Rav, because he's considered Reish Sadra B'Bavel in Maseches Chulin. So when you go through the whole Shas, you see that every term applies to somebody else. Chachimah and Pcheiris is Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya. Chayzah and Shmuel is Brachas, Nun Ches is Shmuel. And Yechidah is Rabbi Bar Nachmeni and Baba Metzia. Gamrana is Levi in Sanhedrin. And Rav is Sadrana in Maseches Chulin. And Moedim B'Bei Medrasha. Kavasi is all the Rabbanon who also agree that Kiddush comes before Havdalah.
Moedim B'Bei Medrasha is Rabbanon.
Yeah. So basically, when he says Moedim B'Bei Medrasha, he's not just throwing something out. He's referring to the Rabbanon who argued before and said that Kiddush comes before Havdalah. Er Sameach Hilchas Shabbos Perik Chavtes. Perik Chavtes in Rambam, yeah.
When you said Monsey, you mean the Shalashidus or Malav Malka?
Malav Malka. Shalashidus, you're not making Havdalah. We're talking about Malav Malka. You have only one cup of wine, you delay it till Malav Malka. You delay using it till Malav Malka.
You're allowed to eat before Havdalah.
Yeah, you in this case you eat before Havdalah, because the reason you're eating before Havdalah is only because you want to make Havdalah later with benching. You're not stop eating before Havdalah.
How important it is to bench because?
That we'll get to tomorrow. That we'll get to tomorrow.
So all these words are not random.
Oh, so the words are very, very meticulous. Not stam, he's saying, I didn't invent this and this. He's actually building his case. And then at the end, he's explaining why they all hold so. Now, this point is, I'm not all these people. I follow the other. Now, let me explain this svara. They hold Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita trumps everything else. So you make Havdalah first, especially they have a king. And even though it's competing with Kiddush, but the king has to leave first. So certainly Matzai Shabbos, you're not going to delay Havdalah, you'll make Havdalah first. Madach with Kiddush, you make Havdalah first. Certainly here you'll make Havdalah first when there's no Kiddush to compete with. But I say that even though you have Kiddush, and the Mitzvah B'Shaita is Havdalah, Kiddush will come first to delay the Havdalah.
Go back to the night Kiddush. If someone slept today, halacha, then by day you have to make night.
Yeah.
So if someone's drinking, not eating, but just drinking, and Shabbos ends, they have to stop.
You have to stop, yeah.
Even if it's even.
Oh, so if you're drinking water, it's a machlokes.
So if someone says you could drink water after Shabbos before Havdalah, then for sure.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. According to Rabbanan the Beir Dabash, you don't have to stop drinking water. You could continue drinking the water, and then you'll daven ma'ariv and make Havdalah, and you're good.
It's interesting that because wine or beer is more hashud. Oh, yeah. So it seems like it.
No, that's the point. Wine and beer, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. The question is, what about other beverages? Let's say you're drinking apple juice, not water. So some say it's only wine and beer.
That you have to stop?
You stop. But the Shulchan Aruch says everything besides water. Everything besides water.
So how about women? They didn't hear the Kiddush.
Yeah, or Samech, yeah.
Do they have to make on their own, or they could just...
Friday night?
Yeah.
It's different. Could be.
No, they didn't hear the night Kiddush. They were sleeping.
Women are mechuyev in Kiddush. Yeah.
So a day they will have to make on their own, or they could just be yoitze from whoever makes Kiddush.
Meshech is, Meshech. Okay. Yeah,
I never knew it. Meshech Chacham, I didn't realize it was...
Meir Simcha Kohen, yeah.
So it's Perek Yutes?
Perik Chavtes Hilchas Shabbos. Ar Samech is a commentary on Rambam. Hilchas Shabbos, chapter 29, he says this. A long piece, a very long piece. It's
It looks like that's really what he meant.
no, when you learn it, you see it's it's a chap. It's an aluyah shachap.
It's interesting that the Or Samech was very Ashkenaz, right? But he's doing a parish on the Rambam. Well, I always thought
It was before.
The Rambam was a Sfardi. Ani Moshe b'Maimen a Sfardi. Yeah. But the Rambam doesn't belong only to the Sfardim. It's Torah.
Chaim is a Sephardi, and the Chassidim learn it more than the Sephardim, I think.
Perhaps. The Rashba was also a Sfardi. The Ramban was a Sfardi. The Ran was a Sfardi.
The Rishonim, mainly Reef, also.
All Sfardim. Rashi was an Ashkenazi, but the Rambam was a Sfardi. Shulchan Aruch was also a Sfardi.
the Shulchan Aruch, the Yosef Karo looked at 3, and 2 out of 3 he would make.
Yeah.
Who was the 3?
The Rif, the Rosh, and the Rambam.
The Rosh was Sfardi.
Rabbeinu Asher. Oh, so the Rosh came from Regensburg, Germany, but he moved to Spain. He moved to Svart.
So I think I was thinking the Or Samech, if he was going to spend the time, he would make a parish on the Rosh rather than the Rambam.
No, but the Rambam is the one who organizes all of halacha, so that's why most Pirushim were made on Rambam. The text lent itself to a full scope of the whole Torah. The Rambam writes in his introduction, I'm calling my Sefer Mishnah Torah, because you learn Torah Shebiksav, and then you learn my book, Mishnah Torah, the second Torah, and you don't need any other Sefer in Yiddishkeit to know halacha. Learn Tanakh, learn my book, and you don't need anything else afterwards. You have the whole Torah, Torah Shebiksav, Torah Shebalpeh. So God's humor, there's no work that has so many commentaries on it, like the Rambam. The Rambam said you don't need any other Sefer. There's no Sefer, I think, in Yiddishkeit that has so many Pirushim on it like the Rambam.
So why did Yosef Karo have to...
No?
Yeah. So the Rambam is like everybody.
Why did Yosef Karo have to look at all 3 of them?
Because those were the 3 pillars of halacha. They're the ones who took the whole Shas and codified it. So you had the Rif Rabbeinu Yitzchak Fes, right? He also ended up in Spain. He came from North Africa, Fez, Morocco, but he ended up in Spain. At the age of 90, he moved to Spain, I think became a Rosh Hashiva. And then you had the Rosh. First, the Rambam was afterwards, Rabbeinu Moshe ben Maimon. The Rif organized the whole Gemara and Halach. In the back of the Gemara, the Rif takes out the Halach. He was the first. Then came the Rambam, and then the Rosh also did it. So he used these 3, and if there was a conflict, he took the majority view.
When was the Rosh?
Later. The Rif lived in the 11th century, the Rambam lived in the 12th century, the Rosh lived in the 14th century. He's much later. The Rosh is already the end of the Rishonim. The end of the Rishonim. Rabbeinu Asher. His son wrote the Tur. The Rosh's son was Rabbeinu Yaakov. He's known as the Baal HaTurim. He wrote a commentary on Chumash that everybody learns, Baal HaTurim. He also wrote the first structure of Shulchan Aruch called Tur. Chaim, that was him. And the Shulchan Aruch followed his model. Rabbi Yosef Karo, who lived later, followed the model of the Tur, who was a son of the Rosh. Rabbeinu Yaakov Baal HaTurim.
Why did Shulchan Aruch didn't adopt the Tzirim? Why didn't adopt the Tur?
Well, the Tur is with a lot of debate and conflict. The Shulchan Aruch is very, very precise, brief and concise. No reasons, nothing. The Shach and Taz are commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch. And so it evolves. But the Samech is contemporary. I mean, not mamish contemporary, but right before the Second World War. He was the Rav of Dvinsk, together with the Rogatchover Gaon. Rogatchover was a Rav of the Chassidim, and he was a Rav of the Ashkenazim. Yeah, they were contemporary leaders of Dvinsk. Two rabbis. He was the Rav of the Chassidim, and he was the Rav of the Ashkenazim.
Who was the Rabbi of Hasidim?
The Rogatchover gone. They were both rabbis of Dvinsk. It's in Latvia, Dvinsk. But their Samech passed away 10 years earlier, 9 years earlier.
My father was serving in Dvinsk.
In Dvinsk, in the army. Well, yeah. What was the svar of the Sameach? The Sameach is telling us, the Reb Nachum by Yitzchak is telling Ravina that according to him, that he says that to delay Havdalah when Shabbos leaves triumphs over Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. That's why you'll make Havdalah later. So he has a tremendous support for his svara. Where does he have a support? From all of the shittas that we learned earlier on Daf Kuf Gimel, who hold that Mitzvah Shabbos, which is Yom Tov, you make Kiddush before Havdalah. Because logically, you should make Havdalah first, right? Not only that, to make Havdalah first when Mitzvah Shabbos falls out on Yom Tov is even stronger than Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. Why? What does Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita mean? This is important, I have to add this. What does Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita mean? That it's great. The best thing is to do a mitzvah when the time comes. Making Havdalah before Kiddush Mitzvah Shabbos is more than Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. For sure it's Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita because the time for Havdalah came, but it's even more than that. But Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita means the mitzvah just came now. It didn't come an hour ago. When you're making Havdalah the first thing Mitzvah Shabbos, you've actually been involved in this mitzvah whole Shabbos. A whole Shabbos you were busy with Shabbos, you were busy with the Melech, with Shabbos Malchus, a Friday night, Shabbos morning, Shabbos afternoon. And now finally Shabbos leaves, it's time to say goodbye, it's time to escort the king and bid farewell to the king. That is Havdalah. It's even more than Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita means the mitzvah just came right now, don't delay it. Here, it's not only it came right now, you've been involved in this mitzvah whole Shabbos, and now it's closure to this mitzvah. Nonetheless, we say, delay the Havdalah. Delay the Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, which is now the first mitzvah that comes, and it's even more than Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. Because as I said, Havdalah, you were involved the whole Shabbos. So the first thing should be Havdalah. Nonetheless, we say, delay Havdalah till after Kiddush. Why? Because we don't want Shabbos to appear like a burden. We want to hold on to Shabbos as much as possible, even if that means welcoming the Duke before escorting the king, even though it means saying goodbye to Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, because Havdalah should come before Kiddush. Even though Havdalah, we've been busy with the whole Shabbos, we've been busy with Shabbos, and that should come first before the mitzvah of Kiddush. Nonetheless, the idea, the notion that we want to hold on to Shabbos as much as possible, it shouldn't appear like a burden, triumphs over all the other svaras, and that's why, according to these many shittas, Mitzvah Shabbos, we make Kiddush before Havdalah. Comes Reb Nachum by Yitzchak and says, Madach, in that case, we're making Havdalah first is even stronger than Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. Nonetheless, we delay Havdalah till after Kiddush. So certainly here, when you're delaying the Havdalah till after benching, even though you were obligated to make Havdalah already, why? Because Mitzvah Shabbos. It's Mitzvah Shabbos, you're supposed to make Havdalah. Right? Mitzvah Shabbos came, you have a cup of wine, make Havdalah. So the time for Havdalah came, Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita came. Nonetheless, you say, delay the Havdalah. Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. So we say that's fine. But you'll still delay the Havdalah till after Berchas Hamazon, till after benching. Why it's even stronger? It's even stronger because over there you're welcoming the Duke before escorting the king. Here you're not welcoming a Duke. Here you're not welcoming a Duke. You're not welcoming Yom Tov before Shabbos. You're just delaying the escort. So Madach, over there you're ready to welcome the Duke before, which seems like a little rebellious, right? That's the svara of Rabbi Chananya. Still you will delay Havdalah. Certainly here you delay Havdalah. That's Reb Nachum by Yitzchak's vart. And that's what he says. Loi chachamana. I'm not like Rabbi Chananya. I'm not like Chayza. I'm not going like Shmuel. I'm not going like Rabbi Bar Nachmani Yechida. I'm going like Levi. All right, I'm going like Levi. The Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin that when we speak about a person who was loimed lifnei chachamim, he learned in front of the chachamim. Who was this? This was Levi, yeah. Who am I? I'm a Sadrana. I follow Rav. The Gemara says about Rav in Chulin that what? That he is Reish Sadra Bebavel. He is the chief of the organizer of Torah, the greatest Rosh Yeshiva in Bavel. Yeah, that's Rav. So I follow the Gamrana, I follow the Sadrana, and I follow the Rabbanon. He doesn't mention Mar Berei de Rabbina because that's a contemporary. So that's not going. Mar, the son of Ravin, is not going to be a great support for Reb Nachman. Reb Nachman is looking for support from previous generations. So since he follows these Tanoim and these Amirayim who argue with Shmuel and hold that Havdalah comes after Kiddush, they argue with Shmuel. They argue with Rabbi Yishua ben Chananya. They argue with the Shittas that say Havdalah comes first. They say Havdalah comes after Kiddush. Why? Because we want to delay it as much as possible. So here too, we delay it till after Birchas Hamazon. Even though the Chiyuv of Havdalah was already Chal Mitzvah Shabbos, Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, but nonetheless, since we have an opportunity to delay it, because you have only one cup of wine, you delay it. Yeah, practically. We'll see tomorrow practically how we do it. Practically how we do it. You want to know if we actually will eat before making Havdalah, if there's only one cup of wine? Right. If there's 2 cups of wine, of course. You make Havdalah, and then you'll wash, you'll bench, and you'll have another cup of wine. We're talking about if there's 1 cup of wine. Okay, practically, we'll see the next Sugi in Gemara about Birchas Hamazon. Geschmack Vort, huh? Sagoyne Shavort.
I knew there was something behind it. I just
This much, you didn't realize.
No, I knew there was something deep when somebody says something like this. Not a Chacham and this. It's like,
A couple of things they bring here you might be interested in. It doesn't say the explanations, it just says the sources. But right here it says, Reb Shlomo Srilius Jerusalem explains that. They don't say why. Doesn't explain it there. And then the next one, these 3 different inyanim.
Oh yes, I saw in the Masifta Gemara. They ask, why is Kvoid Yom greater than Kvoid Laila, right?
Oh, Kvoid Yom.
Why is the day more important? Because by people, a lot of times Friday night is more...
seems like it.
Because you're going into Shabbos, it's night, and this... But halachically, if you have delicacies for the day or the night, you leave it for the day, right? So the question is why. So he brings very interesting very interesting reasons here. So the Mechilta de Rashbi says, because it says Zocheres Yom HaShabbos, L'Katshon. So even though we know it also means night, because it says L'Katshoy, and the Kiddush starts at night, the holiness, but the fact that it says Yom, because it says Zocheres HaShabbos, because it includes night also, means he wants to bring out that there's something special about the day. Another reason from Chazdei David, and who's the source you brought? Where is it?
No.
Or the Shloima, he brings here the Chazdei. That's the Mechilta. The Chazdei David and Shloima Sirilio on Yerushalmi says, interesting because the chiyuv of eating a meal on Shabbos is in Parshas B'Shalach about the man. Moshe Rabbeinu says, "Ichluhu hayoim." Ichluhu hayoim. So so even though we learn from their 3 meals of Shabbos, right? It says Hayom 3 times, and the third one is Hayom Lo Yichluhu, but it says Hayom 3 times. But the meal is said as day, so that's why that becomes the main suda.
It could have said Erev or.
Right.
By the way, Spartim saying
the chiyuv of Suda Shabbos, Reb Shlomo Sirialo says you learn from Hayom, and the Chazdei David also says that's a second reason. The third reason is also from Reb Shlomo Sirialo, very interesting. The main Suda of Shabbos we learn from the man in the desert. There was a miracle with the man. What was the miracle? Usually, if you would take extra, right, it would rot. But Friday they had extra,
double.
It didn't rot. Because they needed it for Shabbos.
Friday not supposed to rot. It's supposed to rot in the morning.
Right. Yeah. So he says, when would it usually rot? It wouldn't rot by night because people have dinner at night. When would it rot? In the morning when you woke up, it would be rotten. So when did you see the miracle of Shabbos? Shabbos morning. Because that's when it didn't rot. So he says that's why the Kvoid Yom is greater than the Kvoid Laila. Chaim Sofer says, a fourth reason, Chaim Yud Zayin, that the Kedusha of Shabbos increases as Shabbos progresses. So Kvoid Yom is greater than Kvoid Laila because Shabbos it grows. It grows. Shabbos grows on you. Yeah. Shabbos day, you already have all of Shabbos, most of Shabbos.
They say Shal Shudas is the even.
Shal Shudas is the highest. Yeah. Aruch HaShulchan says the reason is because the main Sudas people would eat by day, not by night. Also, at night you already ate Friday, so the night meal is not so chaviv. In the Beis Hamikdash, the main kedusha of Shabbos you saw by day, not by night. They didn't do anything Friday night. By day they were makriv a carbon musaf. Friday night there was nothing special in the Beis Hamikdash. And he says the main avoida and the main function of life is by day. The Gemara says in Masechus Shabbos that when God is going to say that the Jews sin, Yitzchak is going to say, take off all the hours of the night because those are sleeping hours. He says the main avoida is during the day, and that's why Kvoid Yom precedes Kvoid Laila.
Wow.
It's very interesting. Completely different reasons why Kvoid...
5 or 6 different reasons. 5 or 6 different reasons.
There's another reason that says Hayom lo timtzu b'sadeh. So you don't find you in the workplace. So it's also Hayom. Maybe by Friday night.
So really we should make the bigger Kiddush in the day? We should make the Kiddush the bigger Kiddush in the day?
Maybe that's one reason they call it Kiddush Rabbah.
Actually, Kiddush Rabbi is also another.
Make Kiddush.
Yeah, make Kiddush. I say Arichos, but
the Aruch HaShulchan says, why is it that the minhag is that they eat the fish, the good food they eat Friday night? The Aruch HaShulchan says. So he says, because you see here Rashi and Rashbam say that if you have wine or delicacies, you push it off for the day. In other words, these types of foods that don't get ruined, and they don't change, so then leave it for the morning. But the food that it's better to eat hot and fresh, he says that do at night.
So you eat in the day, you don't eat next.
So yayin and peiros, that's what it means.
That's why they made it lax. The dry fish.
Yeah, another interesting thing is the Magen Avraham in Hilchos Shabbos brings from the Zohar that the Zohar says that you should organize the night meal with bread and good food, and Rabbi Yitzchak says even the day of Shabbos. So it seems from the Zohar that it's even the day of Shabbos, and on the night of Shabbos is more prominent. Yeah. So there are Achronim, the Pri Megadim, Machtas HaShekel say that it's an argument between Zohar and Gemara. That Al Pi Gemara, the day is greater, and Al Pi the Zohar, the night is greater. It's very interesting. That's what a lot of the Achronim say. The Aruch HaShulchan says that it's not a contradiction, because he says that the Zohar speaks about bread and food, and the Aruch HaShulchan Taina is bread and food. You should eat when it's more fresh and it's more warm and it's not going to get spoiled. That's what the Zohar is talking about. But the Bavli is talking about wine and delicacies and fruits, and over here there's no issue of decomposition, and therefore that's dafka by day. And there's other explanations that there's no argument between the two. The Ramah says that if you didn't eat Seder Shabbos at night, you have to eat 3 meals by day. So that's what the Zohar means. Even the day meal, afilu b'yom Shabbata, that even if you're eating the night meal by day, you should do it with bread. That's what the Zohar means. Not the Zohar means that the night meal is greater. It means even when you're eating the night by day, you should do it with bread. Like the Ramah says that you should eat shalosh three meals by day.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.